Very much indeed, Rob. Good morning and welcome. And it's very good to gather together on Shrove Tuesday, as is our pattern, as clergy and lay ministers from across the Diocese of Sheffield, ecumenical friends and colleagues and guests with us as well, to worship, to listen, to receive, to be together and to reflect together.
Let's imagine for a moment that Jesus spent a week in Jerusalem working for us, doing what we couldn't do, securing our salvation. That Jesus spent 3 years in Galilee working with us, being a community organizer, gathering a team, training them, bringing out their gifts, setting them on a path. And Jesus spent 30 years in Nazareth being with us. Who knows what he was doing? Not working, not achieving our salvation in any significant way, just enjoying us. Because there was nothing better to enjoy. And if you look painfully, as we do in Lent, that's what Lent's all about, into the mirror of our own soul and say, look at my ministry. Can I really honestly say that I've spent 90% of it being with God and other people? That I've spent 9% of it working with, and that I've spent 1% of it working for? Or do I so much enjoy the working for that actually the percentage is the other way around? And if my percentage is the other way around, am I kind of saying that I think Jesus really made a lot of stupid mistakes in his time management, and that I've got a better time management model because I've been on this leadership training scheme? A transformative moment for me was as an undergraduate. My first year as an undergraduate, I became very close friends with another man in the dorm, as it were, and then he became very seriously ill. And I spent a lot of the next few months sort of taking him lunch from the cafe and trying to work for him in those kinds of ways. And I remember saying to him on occasion, rather with trepidation, I said to him, could you do me a favour? And what it was, of course, I wanted to borrow his bike because I'd had mine stolen. And I knew he had a bike and I knew he hadn't used it for the last year. But I felt he was so sort of needy, I felt I was exploiting him by even taking his bike, even though he didn't need it. So I said, could you do me a favour? But he didn't know all of this at that stage. And I remember, I've never forgotten, it was a transformative moment in my life. It's probably the reason why single biggest reason why I started working on all this stuff. He said, what could I ever do for you? And from then on, I think I began to realize that actually finding really genuinely authentic things that he could do for me was actually much more valuable than bringing him lunch. The verse in the Bible I find most difficult isn't something about Gog and Magog and gnashing and swiping in Joshua. It's more blessed to give than to receive. Because actually I think most of ministry is finding creative and imaginative ways to receive. The gospel accounts tell us almost nothing about the physical details of the crucifixion. Jesus suffered terribly, no doubt, but many people suffered then, some even worse than him. And many people have suffered since and still do, some of them no doubt even more than he did. The poignancy of the cross isn't about some contest of pain in which Jesus came out the winner. That's where Mel Gibson got it wrong. It's not that Jesus physically suffered, it's that he was forsaken. Jesus' last words in Mark's Gospel are, my God, why have you forsaken me?" At first sight, this is simply the last in a chain of abandonments. The disciples flee, Peter denies, Judas betrays, now the Father forsakes. But these abandonments are nothing compared to the one that really matters. The cross isn't just an extreme version of a generic human experience of being alone and in pain and unjustly punished and cruelly ridiculed. The cross is a unique event. It's not unique because of how much pain Jesus felt or how much love he'd previously expended. It's unique because the Holy Trinity is the utter presence of unalloyed with, and at the moment of Jesus' death, that with is, for a brief moment and for the only instant in eternal history, lost. The most tantalizing thing is that Jesus' last words are a question that doesn't receive an answer. The question shows us that Jesus has given everything that he is for the cause of being with us, for the cause of embracing us within the essence of God's being. He's given so much, even despite our determination to be without him. And yet he's given beyond our imagination, because for the sake of our being with the Father, he has for this moment lost his own being with the Father. And the Father has longed so much to be with us that the Father has for this moment lost his being with the Son, which is the essence of his being. These two astonishing discoveries, the Father's losing the Son for us and the Son's losing the Father for us, rattle our bones because they make us wonder, is all then lost, not just for us, but even for God? Has the Trinity lost its identity for nothing? If Christians don't experience a shiver of this greatest of all horrors, then they haven't allowed themselves truly to enter the passion of Christ.
Hi. Thought for Shrove Tuesday. It's good to get together and meet up with colleagues that we don't actually see very often. Very thought-provoking things from Sam this morning. I don't quite know what to make of it, but I'll take some time over that.
It was a really enlightening day. Got me to think about the cross in a totally different way to how I'd thought previously. Clarified some things, but also gave me food for thought.
I found it really challenging and interesting today, and I just think a lot of the theology that Sam's brought to us this morning has been really thought-provoking, and I'm going on retreat next week. I will be taking those thoughts with me.
We like the idea of when he talked about atonement being about re-withment. But I have, and generally I agree, but I have a lot of questions about how we kind of communicate that in our preaching.
Really enjoyed it. I found the second lecture to be more engaging, really. The first one was good, but the second one was engaging. And the whole concept about the what Jesus did, and the idea of the Trinity being broken, it's something I've not thought about. Almost as if what Jesus did was kind of the impossible, the unthinkable. It's really something that really brings it more and more home to you. What the passion was really about for us as Christians.